If you were listening to or watching the show last night, you will recall that I had Greg Swenson from the Republican Overseas Organisation here in the studio, and we had to sort of cover Donald Trump's tariff speech live, and as we predicted, he treated us to a sort of about a 20-25 minute preamble, and then out came his big card with all the actual tariffs, and he's hit a lot of countries pretty damned hard. I think it's 34% is it on China, 26% on Japan. A lot of productive companies have got hit quite hard. But from our point of view, 20% tariffs on all goods to the EU. He hates the EU. So pathetic, he said, so pathetic. And we got 10%. And in actual fact, we used to... it was 1.3% was our tariff with America. So what he's done, he just said, look, from now on, you pay the same as we pay. So he's evened it up. And, you know, I know that everybody's all annoyed about it and, oh, my God, this is going to cause economic chaos. But what's Trump? What is America supposed to do? The reason that it has these really unequal tariff deals with countries all over the world was because after the Second World War, the whole world was on the floor. And generous America said, we're going to help the entire world recover economically by giving them very generous tariff deals. We'll pay most of the burden. And until yesterday, that was still in place. I mean, how much longer are they supposed to save the world after World War II? So, you know, I get it. I feel very sorry possibly for the 25,000 British car workers who may lose their jobs. You know, that's horrible, a catastrophe. But you can't expect America to carry on being the defender of the world with, you know, paying everybody's, everybody's defence budget and also these tariffs. You can't expect it to carry on like this. So he's rejected the balance, and Keir Starmer, of course, is going around saying, "Oh, my approach has been vindicated." Well, you know, okay, it's good that Brexit has come into play. It's good because the EU's got a 20% deal and we've got 10%, so their deal is twice as bad as ours, but he didn't treat us any differently. We didn't get a special deal because of the special relationship, and also the other thing that you have to remember is that everywhere, every country, including us, got a 25% tariff on car sales, which is going to hit our car industry very, very hard. So, yes, we've done better than the EU, but we mustn't let Starmer get away with my approach has been vindicated. No. He's just said he's treated us like any other country.
It's nothing to do with Starmer. And we've got to remember that the end of the Second World War was 80 years ago. So if you support Donald Trump, and I'm a big admirer of Donald Trump in terms of doing what he's doing for America, which is putting America first. I know many viewers feel exactly the same. Then you have to support the fact that he is dealing with these tariffs in a sensible way. He is just doing what he said he was going to do, which is put America first. Now, I understand that this is going to be very, very difficult and financially very difficult for some people. But unfortunately, that is the way of the world. That's how politics works. Thank God we're not still in the EU. Thank God we're not part of that bloc, because we will be paying twice as much. But what's really interesting is just looking over some of the media and some of the tweets. People like Emily Maitlis and the ghastly news agents and all of those people are saying, oh, well, what kind of special relationship is that? What kind of friendship is that? Trump's right. It's reciprocal. That's reciprocal. All. It's just it's 10% one way and 10% the other way.
So just to put it in the picture, that basically when we sent cars, everything over to America, America very generously, the tariff they put on our goods and our cars was 1.3%. When their stuff came to us, the tariffs we put on American goods was 10%. You can see the iniquity there, can't you? And this was the same in countries all over the world. And he's just saying, well, I'm not doing that anymore. And you can't really argue against it, particularly, as we've said, that this actually dates back to the Second World War, where the very generous United States of America said, we will help the entire world. And all this stuff is still in place. So we didn't get a special deal. It's reciprocal, as Philip said, and the 25% tariffs on cars is going to hit our industry hard. So, yeah, it's good that Brexit has, kind of paid dividends, but all we're really saying is he's punched the EU really hard. He's given the EU 2 black eyes, but he's only given us 1 black eye.
Yeah, it is that. It's kind of, it is just one of those things. The interesting thing about this story for me is the free speech angle to it as well.
Yeah, I like that. The America has basically said to us in particular, look, and this is another thing that Starmer tries to exonerate himself from. The American J.D. Vance, especially, or is it J.D. Vance? I never can tell. J.D. Vance saying, Britain is a hellhole when it comes to freedom of speech. Hey, Starmer, he didn't say this, I'm saying this. Starmer locks people up for hurty words they write on Facebook. He sends them to jail for 3 years. So don't you say you know anything about freedom of speech, Starmer. You're the enemy of freedom of speech. America's had enough of that. He's saying, unless you climb onto our cultural wagon, unless you respect our cultural values, which are decent values, freedom of speech, democracy, etc., we don't really want to play with you.
Yeah, and ultimately it's about fairness. But if you would have thought 10, 15, 20 years ago, we would be talking about Britain as though we're some kind of international pariah when it comes to something so important as freedom of expression and general fairness, that we're complaining about. All he's saying is, look, let's even it up and let's be fair. But the freedom of speech thing is really interesting, and how that's related to trade is something that may in the future be really, really important.
Yeah, they don't have hate speech in America. Hate speech, when old Tony Blair brought those hate speech laws in, hate crime laws in 1998, they were the first laws in this country that made a criminal offence of something you may say for 300 years. After 300 years, you could not say anything that was a crime. You could say racist, whatever. And in America, that's still kind of the case. You can say what you like, because that's freedom of speech. Over here, we haven't had freedom of speech since 1998, because there's all sorts of things you can say that will get you locked up. And we have a socialist government now that 100% does not like freedom of speech, locking people up for hurty words on Facebook. Give me a break.
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it, where you think about this stuff, and we had the development of this idea that if I'm offended, if I take offence at what you say, it doesn't matter if you intend racism or anything nasty, then I can go for you, right? I can absolutely get you, and it's about feelings.
Exactly
it's
right.
about nothing else. It's not about incitement.
Freedom of speech is an endangered species in this country, folks, and we've got to be very careful. This feeds into all these coppers knocking on your door saying, oh, a tweet from 10 years ago. It's all wrong. Philip Kilsley, fantastic hour.